Ever wondered what life lessons the wisest among us wish they'd known sooner? In this powerful video from Success Lessons TV, 80-year-olds share their hard-earned wisdom, timeless advice that can transform the way you live today. From mastering your mind to finding true peace, these insights are your shortcut to a more fulfilling life. Watch until the end to discover practical knowledge you can apply right now, and don't miss out. Subscribe to Success Lessons TV for more life-changing lessons. The calmer you are, the clearer you think. A simple yet profound truth that resonates through the ages, whispered by those who've walked life's winding paths for 8 decades. In a world that often feels like a storm of notifications, deadlines, and endless noise, finding stillness within is not just a skill. It's a superpower. To control your thoughts is to steer the ship of your life, ensuring that no matter how fierce the waves, you remain steady at the helm. This wisdom, shared by those who've seen life's highs and lows, invites us to pause, breathe, and reclaim the quiet power that lies within our minds. Imagine standing in the eye of a hurricane. Chaos swirls around you, but you remain untouched, your heart steady, your mind crystal clear. This is the essence of calmness. It's not about escaping the storm, but learning to thrive within it. The elders in the transcript remind us that a calm mind cuts through the fog of confusion, allowing us to see solutions where others see only problems. Think of a time when you were overwhelmed, perhaps a work crisis or a personal conflict. Your thoughts raced, each one louder than the last, until you felt like you were drowning in your own mind. Now, picture stepping back, taking a deep breath, and letting the noise settle. Suddenly, the path forward becomes visible. This is the gift of calmness. It transforms chaos into clarity. But calmness is not a passive state. It's an active choice, a discipline forged through practice. In American culture, where hustle and productivity are celebrated, slowing down can feel counterintuitive. Yet, consider the story of a Silicon Valley executive who, after years of burnout, adopted daily meditation. At first, sitting still for 10 minutes felt like torture. Her mind screamed with to-do lists and anxieties. But over time, those moments of stillness rewired her brain. She began to notice a shift. Decisions became sharper, stress lost its grip, and her relationships deepened. She didn't change her circumstances. She changed her response to them. This is what the elders mean when they say, "Control your thoughts, or your thoughts will control you." Your mind is a garden. Tend it with care, or weeds of doubt and fear will overrun it. The philosophy of thought mastery aligns with ancient wisdom and modern science alike. Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Today, neuroscience backs this up. Studies show that mindfulness practices, like meditation or journaling, strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and decision-making. When you train your mind to pause before reacting, you create space for intention rather than impulse. This is why a calm mind is a powerful one. It chooses rather than reacts, creates rather than destroys. Let's ground this in a real-world example. Picture a single parent in Chicago, juggling 2 jobs and raising 3 kids. Life is a relentless treadmill. Bills pile up, the kids need attention, and sleep is a distant memory. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, she feels on the verge of breaking. Instead of snapping at her children or spiraling into despair, she steps outside, closes her eyes, and takes 10 slow breaths. In that moment, she chooses to anchor herself. She returns to the house not as a victim of her circumstances, but as their master. Her calmness ripples outward, soothing her children and restoring order. This is the quiet heroism of thought control, a choice available to us all, no matter our situation. This wisdom also speaks to the emotional weight we carry. In America, we're often taught to push through pain, to grit our teeth and keep going. But the elders urge us to pause and reflect. Uncontrolled thoughts, anger, regret, or self-doubt can become chains that bind us. Consider the story of a veteran who returned from service haunted by memories he couldn't escape. Therapy taught him to observe his thoughts without judgment, to let them pass like clouds in the sky. Over time, he learned that he wasn't his thoughts. He was the one watching them. This shift didn't erase his pain, but it gave him power over it. He began to live again, not as a prisoner of his past, but as a creator of his future. The beauty of this lesson lies in its universality. Whether you're a student facing exam stress, a professional navigating a toxic workplace, or a retiree seeking purpose, calmness is your anchor. It's the difference between reacting to a rude email with a fiery response and pausing to craft a measured one. It's the choice to forgive yourself for a mistake rather than spiraling into shame. It's the courage to sit with uncertainty and trust that clarity will come. The elder's advice is a call to action. Don't let your thoughts run wild. Train them, guide them, and they will serve you. This principle also ties into the American spirit of self-reliance. We value independence, but true independence begins in the mind. When you master your thoughts, you free yourself from the opinions of others, the pressure to conform, or the fear of failure. You become, as the transcript suggests, a ghost, unfazed by external noise, focused on your own growth. This doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means engaging with it on your terms. A calm mind is a confident one, ready to face life's challenges with grace and grit. As we reflect on this wisdom, we see that calmness and thought control are not just personal tools, they're gifts we give to others. A calm presence can de-escalate a heated argument, inspire a struggling friend, or create a safe space for those we love. In a culture that often rewards loudness and speed, choosing stillness is a quiet revolution. It's a reminder that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers. This lesson sets the stage for the next piece of wisdom from the elders: the art of acceptance and letting go. If calmness is the foundation, then releasing what no longer serves us is the next step in building a life of purpose and peace. Life is a river, ever flowing, sometimes gentle, sometimes turbulent, but always moving forward. In the quiet wisdom of those who've navigated its twists and turns for 8 decades, we find a profound truth. To live well is to accept what is, let go of what was, and trust in what will be. This act of acceptance is not surrender. It's an act of courage, a declaration that you will not be anchored to the past. Coupled with this is the unrelenting call to persevere, to push forward when every fiber of your being screams to quit. These lessons, shared by elders who've seen the world change and yet remain steadfast, are not just advice. They're a roadmap to a life of resilience, purpose, and peace. Acceptance is a word that carries weight, often misunderstood as passivity or defeat. But to accept the present is to stand tall in the face of reality, to look at life's imperfections and say, I see you, and I choose to move forward. It's the moment when you stop fighting the unchangeable and start shaping what's within your reach. Imagine a small-town teacher in rural Ohio, facing a classroom of restless students while grappling with personal loss. Her husband passed away unexpectedly, leaving her with grief that feels like a shadow she can't outrun. For months, she resists, clinging to memories, replaying what could have been. But one morning, standing before her students, she realizes they need her presence, not her pain. She chooses to accept her loss, not to forget it, but to carry it differently. She focuses on the laughter in the classroom, the spark in a student's eyes when they grasp a new concept. This is acceptance. Not denying the pain, but refusing to let it define her. It's a choice that sets her free to live again. This wisdom resonates deeply in American culture, where we're often taught to control, to fix, to fight. Yet, the elders remind us that some battles are won by laying down our arms. Acceptance is not about giving up on dreams. It's about releasing the burdens that keep us from chasing them. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur in Atlanta who poured everything into a startup, only to watch it crumble under market pressures. Devastated, he spent months replaying every decision, drowning in what-ifs. But one day, inspired by a mentor's words, he chose to accept the failure as a chapter, not the whole story. He let go of the shame, took the lessons, and started anew. Today, his second venture thrives, not because he erased the past, but because he stopped letting it hold him hostage. The transcript's call to let go of what was is a reminder that clinging to yesterday's mistakes or glories only stalls tomorrow's possibilities. Letting go is the other side of this coin, and it's where the real work begins. To release the past is to unclench your fists, to stop gripping the regrets, grudges, or even the joys that no longer serve you. It's a process, not a moment, and it requires trust. Trust in the future, in yourself, in the unfolding of life. Picture a veteran in Texas, haunted by memories of war. For years, he carried guilt for surviving when others didn't. Therapy taught him to write letters to his fallen comrades, expressing his sorrow and gratitude, then burn them under the wide Texas sky. This ritual wasn't about forgetting. It was about releasing the weight so he could live for those who couldn't. His story echoes the elders' wisdom. You can't reach what's in front of you until you let go of what's behind you. Letting go is not betrayal. It's permission to heal. This act of release is deeply emotional, often requiring us to confront feelings we'd rather bury. In America, where stoicism is sometimes mistaken for strength, letting go can feel like vulnerability. But vulnerability is the birthplace of growth. Think of a single mother in Seattle, raising a teenager who's drifted into trouble. She blames herself, replaying every parenting mistake. But one evening, after a tearful conversation with her son, she realizes that holding onto guilt won't change him. It only dims her light. She chooses to forgive herself, to let go of the perfect mother she thought she had to be. This shift doesn't fix everything, but it opens the door to honest connection with her son. The elders' advice to have faith in what will be is a call to trust that life, like a river, will carve new paths if we let it. Acceptance and letting go are not just personal acts. They're gifts to those around us. When we release resentment, we create space for love. When we accept our flaws, we model grace for others. This wisdom aligns with modern psychology, which shows that acceptance-based therapies, like mindfulness and CBT, reduce anxiety and depression by helping us embrace reality rather than fight it. The elders' words also echo ancient philosophies, Buddhism's teaching of non-attachment, or the Stoic practice of focusing on what's within our control. These ideas, old and new, remind us that peace comes not from changing the world, but from changing how we meet it. Yet, acceptance and letting go are only half the equation. The elders pair this wisdom with a fierce call to perseverance. The moment when you want to quit is the moment when you need to keep pushing. Life tests us, not to break us, but to forge us. Perseverance is the fire that turns dreams into reality, the grit that carries us through the darkest nights. Picture a young athlete in Los Angeles, born with a physical disability that makes running painful. Doctors said she'd never compete, but she refused to let their words be her story. Every morning, she trained, pushing through pain and doubt. Years later, she crossed the finish line of a Paralympic race, not because she was fearless, but because she kept going when fear begged her to stop. Her story embodies the truth that you only fail when you stop trying. This lesson of perseverance is woven into the American spirit. From the pioneers who crossed mountains to the civil rights leaders who marched through hate, our history is shaped by those who refuse to quit. But perseverance isn't always grand. It's often quiet, unseen. Think of a nurse in New York working double shifts during a healthcare crisis. Exhausted, she considers leaving the profession. But each day, she shows up, driven by the faces of her patients. Her persistence isn't just about her. It's a lifeline for those she serves. The elders' wisdom reminds us that nothing lasts forever, not even pain. Tough times are temporary, but the strength we build through them is eternal. Perseverance also requires self-belief, a refusal to let external voices drown out your own. In a culture obsessed with instant success, staying the course can feel lonely. Consider a writer in Nashville, rejected by publishers for years. Friends urged her to give up, but she kept writing, honing her craft in the quiet hours before dawn. One day, her manuscript landed on the right desk, and her book became a bestseller. Her success wasn't luck. It was the result of countless days when she chose to keep going. The transcript's words, "Push yourself to be your best. No one else is going to do it for you," are a rallying cry to own your journey, to trust that every step forward counts. This principle is backed by research on grit, a term popularized by psychologist Angela Duckworth. Her studies show that passion and perseverance, more than talent, predict success. The elders' advice aligns with this. It's not about being the smartest or the strongest, but about showing up day after day, even when the odds feel stacked against you. Perseverance is also a form of self-respect. It's the act of betting on yourself, of saying, I am worth the effort. This mindset transforms not just outcomes, but how we see ourselves. The interplay of acceptance and perseverance is where magic happens. Acceptance grounds us, letting go frees us, and perseverance propels us. Together, they form a cycle of growth. Picture a small business owner in Miami, hit hard by an economic downturn. She accepts the reality of her struggling shop, lets go of the pride that kept her from seeking help, and persists by pivoting to online sales. Her business survives not because she fought reality, but because she worked with it. This is the dance of life. Knowing when to release and when to push, when to rest and when to run. These lessons carry emotional weight because they speak to our shared humanity. We all face moments when life feels too heavy, when giving up seems easier than going on. But the elders remind us that we are stronger than we know. Acceptance is our anchor, letting go is our wings, and perseverance is our engine. In America, where individualism and resilience are celebrated, these truths resonate deeply. They call us to be both soft and strong, to honor our struggles while refusing to be defined by them. As we carry these lessons forward, we prepare for the next wisdom from the elders. The call to focus on ourselves, to grow quietly and steadily, building a life that reflects our deepest values. This journey inward is where true transformation begins, setting the stage for a legacy that endures. Life is a canvas, and you are both the artist and the masterpiece. The elders, with their decades of hard-earned wisdom, remind us that the truest path to fulfillment lies not in seeking applause from the crowd, but in quietly sculpting the best version of ourselves. To focus on self-improvement over proving yourself to others is to choose authenticity over vanity, growth over validation. Hand in hand with this is the profound value of independence. Learning to stand alone, to thrive in your own company, and to surround yourself with those who spark visions and ideas, not drama or doubt. These lessons, woven into the fabric of a life well lived, call us to build a legacy from within, to grow in private until our success speaks for itself, and to choose companions who lift us toward our highest potential. Focusing on self-improvement is a radical act in a world obsessed with comparison. In America, where social media amplifies every achievement and setback, it's easy to fall into the trap of performing for others. The elders' advice, focus on improving yourself, not proving yourself, cuts through this noise like a beacon. It's a call to turn inward, to measure your worth by the progress you make, not the likes you garner. Imagine a young graphic designer in Portland, Oregon, scrolling through Instagram, her heart sinking as she compares her work to polished portfolios online. She feels invisible, unworthy, tempted to chase trends to gain followers. But one day, inspired by a mentor's words, she shifts her focus. She commits to mastering her craft, spending hours studying color theory, experimenting with new techniques, and building a portfolio that reflects her unique voice. Months later, a client discovers her work, not because she shouted it from the rooftops, but because its quality spoke for itself. This is the power of self-improvement. It builds a foundation so solid that recognition comes naturally. This wisdom resonates deeply in American culture, where the self-made ideal is celebrated, yet often misunderstood. True self-improvement isn't about grinding to exhaustion or chasing external markers of success. It's about aligning your actions with your values, about becoming someone you respect. Consider the story of a middle-aged accountant in Denver who felt stuck in a joyless career. For years, he worked to impress his bosses, chasing promotions that left him empty. But one evening, reflecting on his life, he decided to focus on himself. He enrolled in evening classes to study literature, a passion he'd abandoned in youth. He read voraciously, wrote poetry in secret, and slowly rediscovered his spark. He didn't need a corner office to feel alive. he needed to honor the person he was becoming. The elders' call to keep it private until it's permanent is a reminder that real growth happens in the quiet moments, away from the spotlight. This process of self-improvement is both practical and emotional. It requires discipline, setting goals, showing up daily, and embracing the discomfort of growth. But it also demands compassion, the grace to forgive yourself when you stumble. Picture a college student in Boston, struggling with self-doubt after failing a crucial exam. The pressure to prove herself to her parents and peers feels crushing. Instead of spiraling, she takes a step back. She creates a study plan, seeks help from a tutor, and celebrates small wins, like mastering a difficult concept. She keeps her journey private, not out of shame, but to protect her progress from external judgment. By semester's end, her grades soar, but more importantly, her confidence does. This is what the elders mean. Self-improvement isn't just about results. It's about rebuilding trust in yourself. The science of personal growth supports this wisdom. Psychologists like Carol Dweck emphasize the growth mindset, the belief that effort and learning can transform your abilities. By focusing on self-improvement, you shift from a fixed view of who you are to an expansive one of who you can become. This mindset fosters resilience, as every setback becomes a lesson, not a verdict. The elders' advice also echoes the Stoic principle of focusing on what's within your control, your effort, your attitude, your choices. In a culture that often equates worth with external validation, choosing to improve for yourself is a quiet rebellion, a refusal to let others define your value. Yet, self-improvement is not a solitary journey. It's enriched by the company we keep. This brings us to the value of independence, the second pillar of the elders' wisdom. To learn how to survive alone is to discover your own strength, to find peace in your own presence. In America, independence is a cultural cornerstone, but it's often romanticized as rugged individualism. The elders offer a deeper perspective. True independence is emotional and intellectual self-reliance, the ability to stand firm in your values even when the world pushes back. Picture a young musician in Nashville, chasing her dream in a city full of talent. Friends and family urge her to be realistic, to take a safer path. But she learns to trust her own voice, to spend evenings alone writing songs that pour from her soul. Her solitude isn't loneliness. It's a sacred space where she builds her art. The transcript's words, "Everyone leaves, learn how to survive alone," are not cynical but empowering, a reminder that your greatest ally is yourself. Independence also means choosing your circle wisely. The elders urge us to surround yourself with people who talk about visions and ideas, not people. This is a call to seek out those who inspire, who challenge you to think bigger, to dream bolder. Consider a tech entrepreneur in Silicon Valley, surrounded by naysayers who mock his unconventional ideas. He feels drained, doubted, but then he connects with a group of innovators who share his passion for disruption. They meet weekly, swapping ideas, pushing each other to refine their visions. In their company, he finds clarity and courage. His startup thrives, not just because of his talent, but because he chose companions who elevated him. This is the power of selective connection. Your environment shapes your trajectory. This lesson carries emotional weight, especially in a culture where social pressures can feel overwhelming. In America, we're often taught to be likable, to fit in, to avoid rocking the boat. But the elders remind us that fitting in can mean shrinking yourself. True independence is the courage to walk away from toxic relationships, to say no to those who dim your light. Picture a teacher in Chicago, trapped in a friendship that feels more like a competition. Her friend's constant criticism leaves her questioning her worth. One day, she chooses herself. She distances herself, not with anger, but with resolve, and seeks out colleagues who share her passion for education. In their presence, she blooms. The elders' wisdom: some people are like clouds. When they disappear, it's a beautiful day, is a gentle nudge to curate your circle with care. This principle is backed by research on social networks. Studies show that the people you spend the most time with influence your habits, mindset, and even your success. Jim Rohn's famous saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," aligns with the elders' advice. By choosing companions who embody vision and positivity, you create a feedback loop of growth. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out. It means prioritizing those who align with your aspirations. In a fast-paced, connected world, this kind of intentionality is a form of self-respect. The interplay of self-improvement and independence is where transformation happens. Focusing on yourself builds the inner strength to stand alone, while independence gives you the clarity to choose who walks beside you. Together, they create a life of purpose, where your growth is your own, and your connections amplify it. Picture a single father in Miami, raising his daughter while working as a mechanic. He commits to self-improvement, taking night classes to become an engineer. He studies alone, fueled by a vision of a better future. But he also joins a community group of working parents, where he finds encouragement and ideas. His daughter sees his grit and grows up believing in her own potential. His journey shows that self-improvement and independence are not just personal. They ripple outward, inspiring others. These lessons are deeply emotional because they touch on our universal longing to be seen, to matter, to belong. In America, where success is often measured by external markers, wealth, status, followers, the elders' wisdom is a counterpoint. They remind us that true success is internal, built in the quiet moments when you choose yourself, when you trust your path, when you surround yourself with those who see your potential. This is not a rejection of community but a redefinition of it, a call to build one that honors your growth. As we carry these truths forward, we prepare for the next layer of wisdom, the call to protect our peace and to respond to life's challenges with strength and grace. This journey of self-mastery and intentional connection sets the stage for a life that is not just lived, but cherished. Life is a delicate balance, a dance between holding on and letting go, between standing firm and softening your heart. The elders, with their weathered hands and knowing eyes, offer two timeless truths to guide us through this dance. Protect your peace as if it were your most precious treasure, and choose forgiveness over vengeance, for it is the mark of true strength. To value your peace of mind is to build a sanctuary within, a refuge from the chaos of negativity and toxic influences. To forgive, to let go of grudges, is to free yourself from the chains of resentment, allowing your spirit to soar toward growth and purpose. These lessons, distilled from 8 decades of triumphs and trials, are not just advice. They're a call to live with intention, to cultivate a life where your heart is light and your soul is strong. In a world that often feels like a cacophony of demands, distractions, and drama, protecting your peace is an act of rebellion. The elders' wisdom, value your peace of mind, is a reminder that your inner calm is not a luxury but a necessity, the foundation of a life well lived. In American culture, where busyness is worn like a badge of honor, carving out space for tranquility can feel radical. Yet, it's in this space that we find clarity, strength, and joy. Picture a nurse in Atlanta, working long shifts in a bustling hospital. The stress of her job, coupled with the negativity of a gossiping coworker, leaves her drained, her spirit heavy. One day, she decides to set boundaries. She stops engaging in toxic conversations, starts taking short walks during breaks, and listens to soothing music on her commute. These small acts become her shield, preserving her peace. She notices a shift. Her patience with patience deepens, her laughter returns, and her home becomes a haven. This is the power of protecting your peace. It transforms not just your day, but your entire way of being. Protecting your peace also means distancing yourself from those who dim your light. The elders urge us to stay away from people who make you feel lonely. No company is better than bad company. This is a profound truth, one that resonates in a culture where social connections are often equated with worth. Loneliness isn't just the absence of people. It's the presence of those who make you feel unseen or unworthy. Consider a college freshman in Seattle, struggling to fit in with a group of classmates who thrive on sarcasm and criticism. At first, she tries to conform, laughing at jokes that sting, but she feels hollow. One evening, she chooses herself. She joins a campus book club, where she meets peers who share her love of stories and ideas. In their company, she feels alive, valued. By walking away from toxicity, she discovers that solitude is not a punishment but a gift, a chance to reconnect with her own heart. The elder's words, "Some people are like clouds. When they disappear, it's a beautiful day," are a gentle nudge to curate your world with care, to choose connections that nourish rather than deplete. This act of protecting your peace is both practical and emotional. It requires setting boundaries, saying no, and prioritizing your well-being, even when it feels uncomfortable. In America, where people-pleasing is often ingrained, this can be daunting, but the rewards are profound. Think of a small business owner in Chicago, overwhelmed by a demanding client whose constant complaints erode his confidence. He dreads their calls, his stress spilling into his family life. Finally, he decides to protect his peace. He politely ends the contract, focusing instead on clients who respect his work. The financial hit stings, but the freedom is priceless. His creativity returns, his family notices his smile again, and his business grows stronger. This is what the elders mean. Peace is not passive. It's a choice, a commitment to guard your spirit against the storms of negativity. The science of well-being supports this wisdom. Research shows that chronic exposure to negative social environments increases stress hormones like cortisol, which can harm physical and mental health. Conversely, cultivating positive relationships and practicing self-care, like mindfulness or journaling, boosts serotonin, fostering calm and resilience. The elders' advice also aligns with philosophical traditions, like Buddhism's emphasis on inner peace or Stoicism's focus on controlling your emotional responses. In a fast-paced, hyper-connected world, protecting your peace is a lifeline, a way to stay grounded amid the chaos. This commitment to peace sets the stage for the next lesson: the transformative power of forgiveness. The elders declare, "Weak people revenge, strong people forgive, intelligent people ignore." In a culture that often glorifies retaliation, think of social media feuds or reality TV drama, forgiveness can feel like weakness, but it's the opposite. It's a radical act of strength, a refusal to let someone else's actions define your heart. Picture a teacher in Dallas, betrayed by a colleague who took credit for her work. The anger consumes her, stealing her sleep and joy. She dreams of confrontation, of exposing the truth. But one day, inspired by a sermon, she chooses to forgive. She writes a letter to her colleague, not to send, but to release. She acknowledges the hurt, then lets it go. The weight lifts and she feels free. Forgiveness doesn't erase the betrayal, but it restores her power. She focuses on her students, her passion reignited. This is the elders' wisdom in action. Forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for you. Forgiveness is deeply emotional, often requiring us to confront pain we'd rather bury. In America, where justice is a cultural cornerstone, letting go of grudges can feel counterintuitive. Yet, the elders remind us that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Consider a young man in Los Angeles, estranged from his father after years of neglect. The resentment festers, coloring his relationships and self-worth. But when his father reaches out, frail and remorseful, he faces a choice. Revenge would be easy, cutting him off, letting him feel the pain. Instead, he chooses to forgive, not because his father deserves it, but because he does. They rebuild, slowly, imperfectly. The process isn't about erasing the past. It's about reclaiming the future. The elders' call to focus on your growth is a reminder that forgiveness clears the path for your own evolution. This principle is backed by research on emotional health. Studies show that forgiveness reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and improves mental well-being. It's not about condoning harm, but about releasing its hold on you. The elders' wisdom also echoes spiritual traditions, like Christianity's emphasis on turning the other cheek or Buddhism's practice of compassion. In a world quick to judge and slow to heal, forgiveness is a quiet revolution, a way to break the cycle of pain. The interplay of protecting your peace and embracing forgiveness is where true strength lies. Peace gives you the clarity to forgive, and forgiveness deepens your peace. Together, they create a life of resilience and grace. Picture a single mother in Miami, raising 2 kids while navigating a toxic ex-partner. His hurtful words linger, threatening her calm. She protects her peace by limiting contact and filling her home with love, music, laughter, bedtime stories. But she also forgives, not for him, but to free herself from bitterness. She prays for his healing, then lets go. Her kids see her strength, her joy, and grow up knowing what it means to rise above. Her story shows that peace and forgiveness are not just personal acts. They're legacies we leave for others. These lessons carry profound emotional weight because they speak to our shared struggles. In America, where independence and justice are celebrated, the elders' wisdom offers a counterbalance. Peace is your birthright, and forgiveness is your power. They remind us that strength isn't always loud or vengeful. Sometimes, it's the quiet choice to protect your heart and let go of what no longer serves you. This is not a rejection of accountability, but a redefinition of victory, a call to live with a heart unburdened by hate. As we carry these truths forward, we prepare for the next layer of wisdom, the call to take responsibility for our own paths and to face life's challenges with courage and authenticity. This journey of peace and forgiveness sets the stage for a life that is not just endured, but embraced. Life is not a dress rehearsal. It's the main act, unfolding in real time with every choice you make. The elders, whose lives have been shaped by decades of bold decisions and quiet reflections, offer 2 powerful truths to guide us. Your life is your responsibility, so take action to shape it and never compromise your self-worth, for it is the compass that leads you to a life of authenticity. To act with purpose is to seize the reins of your destiny, refusing to wait for permission or perfection. To honor your value is to stand unapologetically in your truth, embracing what makes you unique and rejecting what diminishes you. These lessons, carved from the trials and triumphs of those who've walked before us, are not just wisdom. They're a clarion call to live boldly, to own your journey, and to build a life that reflects the brilliance within you. Taking action with responsibility is the heartbeat of a purposeful life. The elders' words, "No one is going to figure out your life. It's your responsibility," cut through the excuses we tell ourselves, the moments we linger in hesitation, hoping someone else will pave the way. In American culture, where opportunity is celebrated but not guaranteed, this call to action resonates like a rallying cry. It's the difference between dreaming and doing, between wishing for change and making it happen. Picture a young barista in Austin, Texas, who dreams of opening her own cafe. She's passionate about coffee, but the path feels daunting: loans, leases, competition. For years, she waits for the right moment, hoping for a mentor or a miracle. But one day, inspired by a customer's story of starting small, she takes the first step. She enrolls in a business course, saves every tip, and drafts a plan. It's not glamorous, but it's action. 2 years later, her cafe opens, a cozy haven where locals gather. Her success isn't luck. It's the result of owning her responsibility to act. The elders' wisdom reminds us, the first step to getting anywhere is deciding you're not willing to stay where you are. This principle of action is both practical and deeply emotional. It requires courage to move forward despite fear, discipline to break goals into manageable steps, and resilience to keep going when obstacles arise. In America, where the hustle is glorified, it's easy to confuse action with busyness. But the elders urge purposeful action, steps that align with your vision, not just motion for motion's sake. Consider a single father in Detroit, working as a factory worker while raising his son. He dreams of a better life but feels trapped by routine. One evening, he decides to act. He starts an online course in coding, studying after his son's bedtime. The hours are grueling, the doubts relentless, but he persists. A year later, he lands a tech job, doubling his income. His son sees his grit and grows up believing in possibility. This is what the elders mean. Action isn't just about you. It's a legacy of courage for those who watch you rise. The science of goal setting supports this wisdom. Research shows that taking specific, actionable steps, writing down goals, creating timelines, seeking feedback, increases the likelihood of success. The elders' advice also echoes philosophical traditions. like Aristotle's belief that we are what we repeatedly do. In a culture that often rewards instant gratification, acting with responsibility is a commitment to the long game, a refusal to let fear or inertia dictate your path. It's the quiet power of showing up for yourself, day after day, trusting that small steps lead to big destinations. This responsibility extends beyond personal goals to how we shape our lives. The elders remind us that you have 3 choices in life. You can watch things happen, make things happen, or wonder what the hell happened. This is a wake-up call to be the architect of your story, not a bystander. Picture a teacher in rural Montana, passionate about education but frustrated by outdated school resources. She could complain, wait for the system to change, or act. She chooses the latter, launching a crowdfunding campaign to buy tablets for her students. Parents and locals rally behind her, and soon, her classroom is transformed. Her action doesn't just benefit her students. It inspires her community to believe in collective possibility. This is the ripple effect of responsibility. When you act, you create waves that lift others. Yet, action alone is not enough. It must be grounded in a deep respect for your own worth. The elders' second lesson, always know the difference between what you're getting and what you deserve, is a powerful reminder to honor your value. In America, where conformity can be mistaken for belonging, standing in your truth is a revolutionary act. To know your worth is to set boundaries, to demand respect, and to embrace your uniqueness without apology. Picture a young software engineer in San Francisco, working in a tech startup where her ideas are dismissed because of her age and gender. First, she shrinks, doubting her value. But one day, reflecting on her contributions, she realizes she deserves better. She speaks up in meetings, pitches bold projects, and seeks a mentor who sees her potential. Her confidence shifts the room. Her colleagues begin to listen. She doesn't just change her workplace. She redefines her place in it. The elders' call to not be afraid of being different is a reminder that your uniqueness is your strength, not a flaw. This lesson of self-worth is deeply emotional, touching on our universal need to be seen and valued. In a culture that often ties worth to achievements, money, titles, followers, it's easy to feel less than. But the elders urge us to redefine worth from within. Consider a retiree in Florida who spent her career as a nurse, always putting others first. After retiring, she feels invisible, her identity tied to her job. But she begins volunteering at a community garden, sharing her knowledge of plants. The younger volunteers admire her wisdom, and she realizes her value isn't tied to a paycheck. It's in her passion, her stories, her presence. This shift doesn't just restore her confidence. It inspires others to see their own worth. The elders' wisdom. Once you realize you deserve better, letting go will be the best decision ever, is a call to release anything that dims your light, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a mindset. The science of self-esteem supports this truth. Studies show that individuals with a strong sense of self-worth are more likely to set healthy boundaries, pursue meaningful goals, and build fulfilling relationships. The elders' advice also aligns with philosophical ideas, like Ralph Waldo Emerson's call to trust thyself. In a world quick to judge, honoring your worth is a form of self-love, a commitment to live authentically, even when it means standing alone. The interplay of action and self-worth is where transformation ignites. Taking responsibility for your life empowers you to act, while knowing your worth ensures those actions align with your truth. Together, they create a life of purpose and integrity. Picture a young artist in New York, struggling to make ends meet while chasing her dream. She works odd jobs, her confidence battered by rejection. But she decides to act. She applies for grants, builds a portfolio, and shares her work online. At the same time, she honors her worth, refusing to undersell her art or conform to trends. One day, a gallery curator discovers her work, drawn to its raw authenticity. Her exhibition sells out not because she chased fame, but because she trusted her value and acted on it. Her story shows that action without self-worth is hollow, and self-worth without action is stagnant. These lessons carry profound emotional weight because they speak to our shared desire to live meaningfully, to be the heroes of our own stories. In America, where individualism is a cornerstone, the elders' wisdom offers a nuanced perspective. Responsibility is your power, and self-worth is your guide. They remind us that life is too short to wait for others or to shrink to fit someone else's mold. This is not a rejection of community, but a call to bring your fullest self to it, to act with courage and live with conviction. As we carry these truths forward, we prepare for the next layer of wisdom. The call to live with purpose, to work for a cause greater than applause, and to seize the fleeting moments of life. This journey of action and self-worth sets the stage for a life that is not just lived, but celebrated. Life is a fleeting symphony, each note precious, each moment a chance to create something beautiful. The elders, with their weathered wisdom and hearts full of lessons, offer two profound truths to guide us through this fleeting dance. Live with purpose, not for applause, and treat time as the priceless gift it is, acting now before it slips away. To live meaningfully is to pour your soul into causes that matter, to express your truth rather than chase fleeting validation. To honor time is to embrace the urgency of now, to stop postponing dreams and start building them today. These lessons, distilled from 8 decades of joy, pain, and reflection, are not just advice. They're a call to craft a life that resonates with purpose and seizes every second of its fleeting beauty. Living with purpose is the art of aligning your life with what sets your soul ablaze. The elders' words, "Work for a cause, not for applause. Live life to express, not to impress," are a powerful antidote to a culture obsessed with external validation. In America, where social media metrics and public approval often define success, this call to authenticity is revolutionary. It's about choosing depth over flash, impact over image. Picture a community organizer in Philadelphia, dedicating her weekends to a local food bank. She could chase a high-profile career, flaunting her achievements online, but instead, she focuses on feeding families in her neighborhood. Her work is quiet, sorting donations, coordinating volunteers, but its impact is profound. Families eat because of her. Children smile because she cared. She doesn't need a spotlight. Her purpose is her reward. The elders' wisdom reminds us that a life lived for meaning outshines one lived for recognition. This principle resonates deeply in American culture, where the pursuit of happiness is a founding ideal, yet often misconstrued as chasing status or wealth. True purpose isn't about what you gain. It's about what you give. Consider a retired firefighter in Colorado who, after decades of service, felt adrift without his badge. He started mentoring at-risk youth, teaching them resilience through outdoor adventures. He didn't do it for praise. He did it because he believed every kid deserved a chance. Years later, one of his men's, now a successful entrepreneur, credits him for changing his life. The firefighter's legacy isn't in medals, but in the lives he touched. The elders' call to live to express, not to impress, is a reminder that purpose is found in authenticity, in doing what aligns with your core, even when no one is watching. Living with purpose is both practical and deeply emotional. It requires clarity, knowing what matters to you, and courage to pursue it, even when it's unglamorous or misunderstood. In a culture that celebrates overnight success, purpose demands patience, a willingness to toil in obscurity for something bigger than yourself. Picture a young poet in Chicago, writing verses that capture the city's grit and grace. She could chase viral fame with trendy content, but she chooses to craft poetry that speaks to the marginalized. She reads at small open mics, her words stirring hearts in dim-lit rooms. One day, a publisher discovers her work, and her collection becomes a quiet sensation. Her success isn't about fame. It's about staying true to her voice. This is what the elders mean. Purpose isn't a destination. It's a way of being, a commitment to live from your truth. The science of purpose supports this wisdom. Research shows that individuals with a sense of purpose live longer, experience less stress, and report higher life satisfaction. Purpose acts as an anchor, grounding us through life's storms. The elders' advice also echoes philosophical traditions, like Viktor Frankl's belief that meaning is the key to survival. In a world that often feels fragmented, living with purpose is a rebellion against superficiality, a choice to build a life that matters not just to you, but to the world around you. This commitment to purpose is inseparable from the second lesson, the urgency of time. The elder's words, "One day you will wake up and there won't be any more time to do the things you've always wanted. Do it now," are a wake-up call, a reminder that time is the currency of life, and we spend it only once. In America, where procrastination is a cultural temptation, this call to action cuts through the haze of someday. Picture a middle-aged accountant in Seattle who always dreamed of writing a novel. For years, she delayed, waiting for the perfect moment, when the kids were older, when work slowed down. But one day, a health scare jolted her. She realized time wasn't guaranteed. She started writing, carving out an hour each evening. Her novel, a story of love and loss, took years to complete, but when it was published, it touched readers across the country. Her story shows that time waits for no one, but action transforms it into legacy. This lesson of time's preciousness is deeply emotional, touching on our universal fear of regret. In a culture that often prioritizes productivity over passion, it's easy to push dreams to the back burner. But the elders remind us that life is like a coin. You can spend it any way you wish, but you only spend it once. Consider a grandfather in rural Georgia who always wanted to learn the guitar. In his youth, he postponed it for work, then for family. Now in his 70s, he picks up a second-hand guitar and takes lessons. His fingers fumble, but his heart soars. He plays for his grandchildren, his music a gift of joy and courage. His story isn't about mastery. It's about refusing to let time slip away unused. The elder's wisdom is a call to act now, to stop waiting for permission or certainty. The science of time management supports this truth. Studies show that proactive behavior, setting goals, prioritizing tasks, and acting decisively, reduces regret and increases fulfillment. The elder's advice also aligns with philosophical ideas, like the Stoic concept of memento mori, a reminder of life's brevity. In a world that distracts us with endless noise, honoring time is a form of self-respect, a commitment to make every moment count. The interplay of purpose and time is where life's magic unfolds. Living with purpose gives your time meaning, while honoring time ensures your purpose comes to life. Together, they create a life of impact and urgency. Picture a teacher in Los Angeles, passionate about environmental education. She could settle for a comfortable career, but her purpose drives her to act. She launches an after-school program, teaching kids to plant gardens and recycle. Time presses her. She balances grading, parenting, and planning, but she refuses to delay. Her program grows, inspiring students to advocate for the planet. Her work isn't about recognition. It's about leaving the world greener. Her story shows that purpose without action is a dream deferred, and time without purpose is a chance wasted. These lessons carry profound emotional weight because they speak to our shared longing to live fully, to leave a mark that endures. In America, where the American dream often emphasizes achievement, the elder's wisdom offers a deeper vision. A life of meaning, built moment by moment, choice by choice. They remind us that purpose isn't found in grand gestures, but in the quiet acts of courage. Writing a page, planting a seed, helping a stranger. And time, the elders teach, is not our enemy but our canvas, waiting for us to paint it with intention. As we carry these truths forward, we prepare for the next layer of wisdom, the call to face challenges with resilience and to embrace the growth that comes from struggle. This journey of purpose and time sets the stage for a life that is not just meaningful, but unstoppable. Life is a forge, and every challenge is a flame that shapes us into something stronger, sharper, more resilient. The elders, with their decades of scars and triumphs, offer two enduring truths to guide us through this fiery process. Challenges are the crucible of growth, and confidence, paired with steadfast persistence, is the key to seizing the opportunities that arise from struggle. To face challenges is to embrace the discomfort that carves your character, knowing that the greatest successes are born from the hardest efforts. To believe in yourself, to work tirelessly and prepare relentlessly, is to build a foundation so solid that no setback can shake it. These lessons, etched into the lives of those who've weathered life's storms, are not just wisdom. They're a blueprint for a life of courage, growth, and unshakable self-belief. Challenges are not the enemy. They are the architects of our growth. The elders' words, "If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you," are a powerful reminder that discomfort is the crucible where transformation happens. In American culture, where success is often portrayed as effortless, this truth is a wake-up call. Growth isn't found in comfort zones, but in the moments that stretch us, test us, and demand more than we think we can give. Picture a young chef in New Orleans, dreaming of opening her own restaurant. Her first attempt fails spectacularly. A bad location, dwindling funds, and scathing reviews leave her humiliated. She could retreat, convinced she's not cut out for it. Instead, she sees the failure as a teacher. She takes a job under a seasoned chef, learning the business side of culinary arts. She saves, plans, and tries again. Her second restaurant, a vibrant Creole eatery, becomes a local gem. Her success isn't despite the challenge. It's because of it. The elders' wisdom, "The best view comes after the hardest climb," reminds us that every struggle is a step toward a higher peak. This embrace of challenges resonates deeply in a nation built on perseverance. From the pioneers who crossed rugged frontiers to the entrepreneurs who innovate against the odds, America's story is one of grit. But challenges don't always look like grand quests. They're often quiet, personal battles. Consider a single mother in Memphis, balancing 2 jobs while studying for a nursing degree. The exhaustion is relentless. Late nights, missed recitals, constant doubt. Yet, she pushes through, driven by a vision of a better life for her kids. Each grueling semester, each past exam, builds not just her skills but her character. When she walks across the graduation stage, her children cheering, she's not just a nurse. She's a testament to the truth that tough times don't last, but tough people do. Her story shows that challenges, however daunting, are opportunities to become more than you were. The emotional weight of facing challenges lies in its universality. We all know the sting of failure, the weight of doubt, the temptation to quit. But the elders urge us to reframe struggle as a gift. Modern psychology supports this. Research on resilience shows that adversity, when met with a growth mindset, fosters adaptability and strength. The concept of post-traumatic growth suggests that challenges can lead to deeper self-awareness, stronger relationships, and a renewed sense of purpose. The elders' advice also echoes ancient wisdom, like the Stoic belief that obstacles are the path to virtue. In a culture that often avoids discomfort, embracing challenges is a radical act, a choice to grow through pain rather than shrink from it. This willingness to face challenges is amplified by the second lesson, the power of confidence and persistence. The elders declare, "If you think you can do a thing or think you can't do a thing, you're right." This is a call to believe in your potential, to back that belief with hard work, and to prepare relentlessly for the opportunities that await. In America, where self-reliance is a cultural cornerstone, confidence is often celebrated. But the elders remind us it's not a birthright, it's built. Picture a high school dropout in rural Idaho who never believed college was for him. At 25, working a dead-end job, he decides to change his story. He earns his GED, enrolls in community college, and studies engineering. The path is grueling, math doesn't come easily, and self-doubt looms. But he trusts his ability to learn, putting in hours at the library, seeking tutors, and celebrating small wins. By 30, he's an engineer at a renewable energy firm, his confidence not just in his skills but in his capacity to overcome. His story embodies the elders' truth. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Confidence is deeply emotional, rooted in our need to trust ourselves. In a culture that often amplifies external voices, critics, trends, comparison, it's easy to lose faith in your own path. But the elders urge us to anchor our belief within. Consider a young musician in Nashville whose early gigs are met with indifference. The rejection stings, tempting her to mimic popular styles. Instead, she doubles down on her unique sound, blending folk and jazz. She practices relentlessly, books smaller venues, and builds a grassroots following. One night, a producer hears her set and offers a record deal. Her success isn't chance. It's the result of believing in herself and preparing for the moment opportunity knocked. The elders' call to do your best and trust the process is a reminder that confidence isn't arrogance. It's the quiet certainty that your effort will bear fruit. The science of self-efficacy, pioneered by psychologist Albert Bandura, supports this wisdom. Belief in your ability to succeed drives persistence, which in turn creates mastery. The elders' advice also aligns with philosophical ideas, like Nietzsche's concept of becoming who you are. In a world quick to doubt, confidence is a rebellion, a refusal to let fear or failure define you. Persistence, its partner, is the engine that turns belief into reality. Picture a veteran in Texas, transitioning to civilian life after years of service. He dreams of starting a carpentry business but lacks formal training. Undeterred, he takes woodworking classes, builds furniture in his garage, and markets his work locally. Each piece sold, each skill mastered, builds his confidence. His business grows not because he was fearless, but because he kept going. The elders' truth, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, is a testament to the power of showing up day after day. The interplay of embracing challenges and cultivating confidence is where growth becomes unstoppable. Challenges test your resolve, while confidence fuels your ability to push through. Together, they create a life of resilience and achievement. Picture a small-town librarian in Minnesota, passionate about literacy but frustrated by her community's declining reading rates. The challenge is daunting: budget cuts, disengaged youth, apathetic parents. But she believes in her vision. She launches a mobile library, driving a van stocked with books to underserved areas. She works late, writes grants, and recruits volunteers, her confidence unwavering. Slowly, kids start reading, families engage, and her program becomes a model for the state. Her story shows that challenges without confidence breed despair, and confidence without challenges breeds complacency. These lessons carry profound emotional weight because they speak to our shared desire to rise above, to prove to ourselves that we are capable of more. In America, where the underdog story is a cultural touchstone, the elders' wisdom offers a deeper perspective. Challenges are your forge, and confidence is your fire. They remind us that growth isn't linear. It's messy, painful, glorious. This is not a rejection of ease, but a call to embrace the struggle, to trust your strength, and to prepare for the moments that define you. As we carry these truths forward, we prepare for the next layer of wisdom, the call to practice self-compassion and to trust that time heals, guiding us toward a life of balance and renewal. This journey of resilience and self-belief sets the stage for a life that is not just endured, but transformed. Life is a tapestry, woven from moments of triumph, struggle, and quiet reflection. Each thread a chance to grow closer to the person you're meant to be. The elders, with their decades of wisdom etched into every line on their faces, offer two profound truths to guide us through this intricate weaving. Practice self-compassion, embracing your mistakes as stepping stones to growth, and live fully in the present, for it is the only moment you truly own. To care for yourself with kindness is to build a reservoir of strength, forgiving your missteps and learning from them with grace. To anchor yourself in the now is to free your mind from the shadows of the past and the uncertainties of the future, letting positive thoughts shape a life of clarity and joy. These lessons, drawn from lives rich with experience, are not just advice. They're an invitation to live with tenderness toward yourself and presence in every fleeting moment. Self-compassion is the gentle art of treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a dear friend. The elders' words, practice self-compassion, we are all human and everyone makes mistakes, are a soothing balm in a culture that often demands perfection. In America, where achievement is celebrated and failure stigmatized, learning to forgive yourself can feel like a radical act. It's about recognizing that mistakes don't define you, they refine you. Picture a young teacher in Boston, overwhelmed by her first year in the classroom. A poorly planned lesson flops, and her students disengage, leaving her riddled with self-doubt. She replays the moment, berating herself for not being good enough. But one evening, inspired by a colleague's advice, she shifts her approach. She writes down what went wrong, not to dwell but to learn. She tries a new lesson plan, and it sparks her students' curiosity. By embracing her mistake with kindness, she grows not just as a teacher, but as a person who trusts her capacity to improve. The elder's wisdom reminds us that self-compassion isn't weakness. It's the courage to rise again. This principle resonates deeply in a nation that values resilience but often overlooks the softer side of strength. Self-compassion isn't about excusing errors. It's about learning from them without losing your sense of worth. Consider a small business owner in Denver whose startup fails after a risky investment. The financial loss stings, but the emotional toll is heavier. Shame whispers that he's a failure. He could spiral, but instead he chooses kindness. He journals about the experience, acknowledging his courage in trying, and seeks advice from a mentor. Slowly, he rebuilds, launching a new venture with wiser strategies. His comeback isn't just about business. It's about reclaiming his self-respect. The elder's call to accept mistakes and learn from them is a reminder that growth begins with grace, with treating yourself as a work in progress, not a finished product. Self-compassion is both practical and profoundly emotional. It involves tangible steps, reflecting on errors, seeking feedback, setting realistic goals, and a heart open to forgiveness. In a culture that often equates self-criticism with discipline, this shift can feel foreign. But the rewards are transformative. Picture a college student in Miami, struggling with anxiety after bombing a crucial presentation. The harsh voice in her head calls her incompetent, but she pauses. She breathes deeply, writes a letter to herself acknowledging the effort she put in, and commits to practicing public speaking. Over time, her confidence grows, and her next presentation shines. Her journey isn't about erasing the past, but about learning to hold it lightly. This is what the elders mean. Self-compassion builds a bridge from failure to growth, from shame to strength. The science of self-compassion, pioneered by researcher Kristen Neff, supports this wisdom. Studies show that self-compassion reduces stress, boosts resilience, and fosters a growth mindset. It's not about lowering standards, but about creating a safe space to take risks and learn. The elders' advice also echoes spiritual traditions, like Buddhism's emphasis on loving kindness or Christianity's call to forgive as you are forgiven. In a world quick to judge, self-compassion is a quiet rebellion, a choice to nurture your spirit even when you stumble. This tenderness toward yourself pairs beautifully with the second lesson, the power of living in the present. The elders' words, "We live only now. Everything else is either past or is unknown," are a clarion call to anchor yourself in the moment you're in. In American culture, where multitasking and planning dominate, this focus on the present can feel like a gift. The past is a story already written, the future a sketch yet to be drawn, but the present is alive, pulsing with possibility. Picture a retiree in Santa Fe, who spent years regretting a career he didn't pursue and worrying about aging. One morning, he decides to live differently. He takes up painting, focusing on the brushstrokes, the colors, the feel of the canvas. Each moment he spends creating is a moment free from regret or fear. His paintings, vibrant and soulful, are exhibited at a local gallery, not because he chased fame, but because he lived fully in the now. The elder's truth, the things you think about determine the quality of your mind, reminds us that a present mind is a powerful one. Living in the present is deeply emotional, touching on our universal longing to feel alive. In a culture that glorifies productivity, it's easy to rush through moments, eyes fixed on the next goal. But the elders urge us to slow down, to savor the now. Consider a young mother in Chicago, overwhelmed by parenting and work. She's haunted by past mistakes and anxious about her kid's future. One evening, she puts down her phone and plays with her daughter, building a blanket fort. They laugh, fully immersed in the moment, and for the first time in months, she feels light. That fort becomes a memory they both cherish, not because it was grand, but because it was present. The elders' call to focus on what you can control is a reminder that the present is your canvas. Paint it with intention. The science of mindfulness supports this wisdom. Research shows that present-focused practices, like meditation or gratitude journaling, reduce anxiety and enhance well-being. The elders' advice also aligns with philosophical ideas, like the Stoic focus on the present moment or the Buddhist concept of mindfulness. In a world that pulls us in every direction, living in the present is a form of freedom, a choice to claim the only moment that's truly yours. The interplay of self-compassion and presence is where life's beauty unfolds. Self-compassion gives you the grace to live fully in the now, unburdened by past regrets or future fears. Presence, in turn, deepens your self-compassion, grounding you in the reality of who you are, flaws and all. Together, they create a life of balance and joy. Picture a veteran in Portland, haunted by memories of war. Therapy teaches him to practice self-compassion, to forgive himself for surviving when others didn't. He also learns mindfulness, focusing on the sensation of his morning coffee, the sound of birds outside. These practices don't erase his pain, but they anchor him in the present, where healing begins. His story shows that self-compassion without presence can feel fleeting, and presence without self-compassion can feel hollow. These lessons carry profound emotional weight because they speak to our shared desire to live with ease, to feel at home in our own skin. In America, where the pressure to have it all can be relentless, the elders' wisdom offers a gentler path. Be kind to yourself and be here now. They remind us that life isn't about perfection but about showing up, moment by moment, with an open heart. This is not a rejection of ambition but a call to pursue it with grace, to live in a way that honors both your humanity and your dreams. As we carry these truths forward, we prepare for the next layer of wisdom. The call to learn from the past, to master ourselves, and to let our direction guide us more than our speed. This journey of self-compassion and presence sets the stage for a life that is not just lived, but deeply felt. Life is a journey through peaks and valleys, a story written in moments of pain, growth, love, and resilience. The elders, with their hearts seasoned by 8 decades of living, offer 2 final truths to guide us to the end of this remarkable path. Let go of the pain but hold fast to the lessons, for true strength lies in mastering yourself, and embrace life's highs and lows with love, facing fears and cherishing memories as the threads that weave your story. To learn from hardship is to transform wounds into wisdom, crafting a life of purpose through self-mastery. To live with love is to keep moving forward, no matter the obstacles, holding tight to the connections and moments that make life worth living. These lessons, born from lives fully lived, are not just wisdom. They're a heartfelt invitation to grow through every trial and to love fiercely in every moment, creating a legacy that echoes beyond your years. Learning from pain while letting it go is the alchemy of growth, turning life's darkest moments into sources of light. The elders' words, "Forget what hurts you but never forget what it taught you," are a powerful reminder that pain is a teacher, but it need not be a captor. In American culture, where stoicism is often prized, we're taught to bury hurt, to move on without reflection. But the elders urge us to mine our struggles for wisdom, to release their emotional grip while keeping their lessons close. Picture a young widow in Savannah, Georgia, grappling with the sudden loss of her husband. Grief threatens to swallow her. Every corner of her home holds memories that sting. For months, she resists, clinging to the pain as a way to stay connected to him. But one day, she begins to write, pouring her sorrow onto the page. Through her words, she discovers lessons, resilience, gratitude for love shared, the fragility of life. She starts a blog, sharing her journey, and her words touch thousands. By letting go of the pain's weight, she transforms it into purpose, embodying the elders' truth. Mastering yourself is true power. This process of learning and letting go is both practical and deeply emotional. It requires reflection, journaling, therapy, or quiet contemplation to distill lessons from hardship. It also demands courage to release the emotional hold of pain, to trust that healing doesn't mean forgetting. Consider a laid-off factory worker in Pittsburgh whose identity was tied to his job. The loss leaves him bitter, replaying years of loyalty betrayed. But he chooses to learn. He enrolls in a coding bootcamp, discovering a passion for tech. The pain of his layoff fades, but its lesson, adaptability, fuels his new career as a software developer. His story shows that pain, when processed with intention, becomes a catalyst for reinvention. The elder's call to learn from who you were is a reminder that every struggle shapes you, not as a victim, but as a creator of your future. The science of learning from adversity supports this wisdom. Research on post-traumatic growth shows that reflecting on hardships can lead to greater self-awareness, stronger relationships, and a renewed sense of purpose. The elder's advice also echoes philosophical traditions, like Stoicism's focus on turning obstacles into opportunities or Buddhism's emphasis on impermanence. In a culture that often avoids pain, learning from it is a radical act, a choice to grow through what hurts rather than be defined by it. Self-mastery, the elders teach, is the ultimate strength. Control over your thoughts, emotions, and actions, forged in the crucible of life's trials. This journey of self-mastery is enriched by the final lesson, the enduring power of love and life's resilience. The elders' words, "People change, love hurts, friends leave, things go wrong, but life goes on," are a heartfelt acknowledgement that life is messy, yet love, in all its forms, is its heartbeat. In America, where individualism can sometimes overshadow connection, this call to love fiercely, face fears, and cherish memories is a reminder of what truly matters. Picture a single father in Seattle, raising his teenage daughter after a painful divorce. The betrayal stings, and fear of failing as a parent looms. But he chooses love. He listens to his daughter's dreams, faces his fear of vulnerability by sharing his own struggles, and builds new memories. Late-night talks, weekend hikes. Their bond grows, not despite the hardship, but because he embraced life's messiness. The elder's truth, love is rare, grab it. Memories are sweet, cherish them. Reminds us that love, even when it hurts, is the fuel that keeps us moving. This lesson is profoundly emotional, touching on our universal need for connection and meaning. In a culture that often prioritizes productivity over relationships, the elders urge us to pause and hold tight to what makes life rich. Consider a nurse in Chicago who faced fear head-on during a public health crisis. Exhausted and scared, she could have quit, but love for her patients kept her going. She comforted the dying, held hands through fear, and carried their stories home. Years later, a patient's family sends her a letter, thanking her for the love she showed. That letter, tucked in a drawer, is a memory she cherishes, a reminder that love endures beyond the moment. The elder's call to face fear is a reminder that courage isn't the absence of fear but the choice to act through it, driven by love. The science of positive psychology supports this truth. Studies show that strong relationships and meaningful memories boost well-being, acting as buffers against stress. The elders' advice also aligns with spiritual traditions, like Christianity's emphasis on love as the greatest commandment or Buddhism's call to cultivate compassion. In a world that can feel divided, living with love is a quiet revolution, a choice to connect, to heal, to remember. The interplay of learning from pain and living with love is where life's deepest meaning emerges. Self-mastery gives you the strength to let go of pain and grow from it, while love gives you the reason to keep going. Together, they create a life of resilience and connection. Picture a young artist in Los Angeles, whose early career was marked by rejection and self-doubt. She could have let the pain define her, but she chose to learn, studying her craft, refining her style. She also chose love, pouring her heart into paintings that celebrated her community. Her art, vibrant and raw, gains a following, not because she chased fame, but because she mastered herself and lived with love. Her story shows that growth without love feels empty, and love without growth feels fleeting. These final lessons carry profound emotional weight because they speak to our shared humanity, our capacity to rise from pain, to love despite loss, to find meaning in the ordinary. In America, where the pursuit of happiness is a cultural ideal, the elders' wisdom offers a richer vision, a life of growth through struggle, of love through fear, of memories that light the way. They remind us that self-mastery isn't about perfection but about progress, And love isn't about ease, but about commitment. This is not a rejection of ambition or success, but a call to root them in what lasts. Wisdom, connection, and a heart wide open to life. As we stand at the end of this journey, we see that the elders' lessons, from calmness to love, from action to presence, are threads in a single tapestry, each one essential to a life well lived. They challenge us to grow through pain, to love fiercely, to live now, and to leave a legacy not of wealth or fame, but of a spirit that endured, loved, and grew. Let these truths be your guide, your light, your courage to live a life that is not just survived, but cherished, a story told in every choice, every moment, every heartbeat. As we stand at the end of this journey, guided by the timeless wisdom of those who've lived 8 decades, we see a tapestry woven from courage, love, resilience, and purpose, from the quiet power of a calm mind to the fierce strength of self-mastery, from the urgency of seizing time to the tenderness of loving fiercely. These lessons form a roadmap for a life not just lived, but cherished. The elders have shown us that life is not about avoiding pain but growing through it, not about chasing applause but building meaning, not about perfection but progress. Each truth, calmness, acceptance, perseverance, self-worth, purpose, presence, and love, is a thread in the fabric of a life well lived, a legacy that endures beyond our years. In today's world, where noise drowns out clarity and comparison steals joy, these lessons are more vital than ever. The chaos of modern life, endless notifications, societal pressures, and the race for more can pull us from our center. But the elders' wisdom offers an anchor. Start with yourself. Practice self-compassion when you stumble, for mistakes are teachers, not chains. Stay present, savoring the moment you're in, for it's the only one you truly own. Act with purpose, not for likes or praise, but to honor the causes that light your soul. Surround yourself with those who lift you, forgive those who hurt you, and believe in your ability to rise, no matter the odds. Above all, love. Love yourself, love others, love the messy, beautiful gift of life. These are not just lessons. They're a way of being, a path to a life that feels full, not because it's flawless, but because it's yours. To apply this wisdom now, begin small but begin today. Pause each morning to breathe, grounding yourself in calm before the day's rush. Reflect on one challenge you face. What lesson does it hold? Take one step toward a dream you've delayed, whether it's writing a page, calling a friend, or learning a skill. Celebrate your worth by saying no to what diminishes you and yes to what aligns with your truth. In a world that demands speed, choose depth. In a culture that glorifies perfection, choose growth. The elders remind us that life is short, but it's wide. Fill it with moments that matter, with love that endures, with courage that transforms. This is your invitation to rise, to weave your own tapestry of a life well lived. The elders' words are not just for reflection but for action. So, take their wisdom, make it your own, and share it with the world. Subscribe to Success Lessons TV on YouTube for more stories and insights that inspire you to live boldly and love deeply. And in the comments below, share one word that captures what this journey means to you. Rise. Let's build a community of growth, resilience, and purpose, one lesson, one moment, one rise at a time.